Okay, so I guess we all share the fact that aging sucks. I had that conversation with my business partner about 36 years ago. I was 10. I told him I wanted to live forever, and he replied he'd rather replace humankind by robots. So 15 years after, I did my PhD in the field of aging genetics, and I started to look at the landscape of drug discovery. And it was quite disappointing. The drug attrition rate is huge, and the time to get to a drug, like 10 years, 1 to 10 billion euro, was a little bit too much. So I started to investigate cheminformatics when I saw big data come in and machine learning coming. And there I realized I was mostly chemist trying to do mathematics. So I contacted my old friend, who back in the time was professor in quantum information, convinced him to retire, invest in my business, and now we started Cortex Discovery. We are mostly like biologists, machine learning, mathematics, and quantum computing. We first gather most of the publicly available information regarding molecules and their properties. And we have now a curated database of about 750 million data points. And there we built, after like some deep graph neural nets, where the input is a molecule and the output is a property. The property can be it's a binary output, active, inactive. It can be a number, how active, or it can be a dose response curve. That can be for activating a target, inhibiting a pathway, looking at the number of cells that die. There are a few features in that neural network that are quite unique. First, we don't use descriptors like people do in chemistry. We just use the connectivity between the atoms as for a raw input to a raw output. And then we also learn on all the properties simultaneously. That forces the neural network to create general laws to better understand chemistry. We can screen 5,000 properties simultaneously for 10,000 molecules every second. And so the technology is therapeutic field agnostic, and we have seen that it looks like it was on par with the experiments that we learned from. So this database is basically high-throughput screening data. So we had to do a proof of concept. It was during COVID, so we decided to take an advantage of the multi-parametric predictions that we have and looked at the most interesting ones. So we had first the SARS-CoV-2 infected cells, and we had also data about compounds inhibiting that, also compounds inhibiting viral protein, or compounds inhibiting cell protein being hacked by the virus. We also can predict toxicity, fluorescence, which is always often a false positive. So to make the story short, I had a conversation with a guy in OS University, and I convinced him to test 6 compounds for free. And 5 out of the 6 compounds worked, and 2 of them worked before and after infection in 3D human cell lung culture. We have that patent pending, and we have our work that's published in antiviral research. Then to show that we were able to be on par with experimental accuracy, we looked also at an external data set that were not in our database. It was with the Victorian Center for Functional Genomics. It was data about compounds killing cancer cells. We were tested on the 20% of the data that we had never seen. So we just had the molecules, and actually there we show that we are on par with experimental accuracy. That leads us to a kind of business model that is actually now changing. But typically in the pharma industry, you have people testing 500,000 to 1 million compounds for about €1 million. We can test 10 to 100 times less, and then screen millions of compounds, up to billions of compounds. But if we screen all the libraries that we have of compounds that are physically available, let's say 23 million compounds, and are consistent with some other proof of concept we had done on HTS, the cost efficacy is improved by a ratio of about 20 times. Also, we can predict all the admetox properties at the same time. So toxicity, solubility, permeability. And that's a report that we can automatically generate for any compound. Also, since we want to eat our result quickly. We compartmented our database into what's nutraceutical, that could be repurposed, what's natural compounds that could maybe bypass the FDA, what's existing drugs, so all the libraries that the pharma industry would order, what is like drug-like, and also the virtual libraries. There we actually created something that is a system that is driven by evolution and actually by the AI. So we select the top compounds from the first technology and we mutate them with another. The compound structure are the smiles and the reactions are the smarts. So we kind of make the compound evolve to get to a better result. So in terms of how we work, first we decided to offer a service. So we do basically in silico what people do in vitro. So we can do high-throughput screening, look at the pharmacological property, look at side effects, and also tweak some compounds so they get the better pharmacological property. Individually, there we are about 10 times faster and 20 times cheaper than the experiment and as accurate. But if we do everything simultaneously, that doubles. And here we can parallelize hit discovery with lead optimization. So on that side, we had to prove that our technology works, and since I am into life extension, and I start to convince my colleagues too, we started to organize collaborations with different organizations, and the deal usually is that we do the job in silico, the partner does the job in vitro, and then we have different deals with shared or non-shared IP. And so we got tremendous results in the last year. So we can say, I think we are the first AI company that discovered a compound that extends lifespan in a full organism. That was 33% with C. elegans. It was with Ora Biomedical, who was showed in last speech. We also have 3 NRF2 activators, so it's a master regulator of oxidative stress. We have also 4 autophagy activators, so it's like mTOR inhibitors. We have done that with Brian Kennedy in Singapore University. And now we have 4 DNA repair compounds. So they enhance DNA repair. We've done that with Vienna University. We've done that with the NIH. And there are more to come. And now we start to have collaboration with senolytics, xenomorphics, and reprogramming that are commercial with the NIH and also with a private company. Finally, all this is learning from experiments. So we could actually, if there is no data on a target, generate that data and do a small high-throughput screening of not 1 million, but maybe 10,000 compounds. But if we don't want to do that, there is also the possibility to create a docking system, and that's what we are advancing in, where we don't learn from data, from crystallographic data, but we learn from simulation, and we use deep learning to squeeze, to compress the information. And now we have a prototype already that says it's 1,000 times faster and quite competitive. So we don't sell it as a service, but we use it for in-house pipeline. We can help any company that works with small molecules. We prefer to work with aging because we have curated most of the aging targets. And so we can go from hit discovery to lead optimization. We're happy to work with nutraceuticals, so we can soon eat products that extend our lifespan with repurposing, and also to create new drugs that will take more time, but much less than what is taken today. So I think I'm done. Thank you for listening, and feel free to have a Guinness with me if you want to collaborate.
Yeah, thank you. Interesting. 2 questions, yeah, a bit provocative, and you know me.
Yeah, no
so
worries.
the first one is, yes, it's when I'm listening to such a speech, it's always spectacular. But after I saw, okay, first animal with a longer lifespan and 30% for worms, so it's not very spectacular. You are not the only one trying this. So why is it going so slow? So that's my first question. And the second question is even more provocative. So you said we are here for life expansion. Okay, so why don't you go to a public organization and say, okay, I want to work with you, because patents, it's not going to go really very fast.
Okay, so let's say for the first question, I mean, this comes out of our neural network. So 33% is not the best compound, but I don't think I have seen an AI company that extends the lifespan with a molecule. So and that was really not something that I like too much. I'm not so much into worms. I don't think worm aging is so relevant because we don't know, like they kind of wiggle like as zombies, and mTOR is something that is correlated. So we actually looked at human mTOR. We didn't have worm data, but the worm was the cheapest and the fastest way of doing it. So we will have much better result with DNA repair, with senolytics. So then regarding the public institutions, I mean, we are working with the NIH, with the equivalent in France, like the CNRS, and we are completely open to share some things. But the idea, as I answered like 3 years ago, I think to a similar question from you, I think that if you look at Craig Venter, he did much faster than the world, because if you have a kind of a private company that's well organized, sometimes it can work faster than everyone together, because it gets a little messy. So we hope like to grow as a company, to collaborate, of course, with public institutes, but still we want to be able to guide fast and efficiently our research towards our goal, ultimate goal, which is stopping aging, of course.
Ivan, I wanted to ask some more about this AI-discovered drug that could extend the lives of the worms by 30%.
Yeah.
And of course, that's just a start. I wonder if you could say more about that, and when do you think you will have AI-discovered drugs that might extend the lives of more complicated organisms?
I mean, actually, we probably already have them, because like all the other compounds that I was talking about are working on cells, but then we need a budget. So actually, there is a collaboration I have in the NIH, and they're open now to do lots of things. So we should be testing our DNA repair compounds on mice in a few months, and we hope it should work. It looks like the signal is, because we couldn't really measure, but the signal of repair is in the range of like 10 times better than like no compound. So we could really reduce the rate of aging.
Hi, question. Does your system work with multiple drug interaction with each other?
No and yes. So actually, we don't look at the interaction, but since we have curated all the cytochromes, we know that like if a drug is hitting too hard on a specific cytochrome, you don't want to combine it with one that is also hitting hard on the same cytochrome. But that's what we are limited. We also work only with small molecules now. When we get funding and the docking works, we will go towards like larger compounds, but now we're just small molecules, and one at a time. However, there will be a project on reprogramming where our drugs won't be able to hit all targets simultaneously. So if you want something that is hitting like 5 targets, and we have one drug that hits 2 and the other hits 2 others, and they are not connected to the same cytochromes, then we can kind of connect the dots. But the idea is that we don't put multiple drugs in the system, but because of the cytochrome and because of the fact that we look at all the side effects and the multi-target activation, we kind of will do it. We are doing it, but it's not the way it enters into the system. The system is not fed by multiple compounds.